All right. So today's video is going to talk about the wasteful world and the very excessively unnecessary automobile industry, cars. We're not talking about trucks or any other mode of transportation, planes, trains, buses. Semi trailers. They haul things across Canada. None of those. We're talking about cars, like what people have for families and self, like for individuals, etc. So, since the last 40 years, I can just summarize what I'm going to tell you today and tell you that the biggest cost in Toronto and the world, period, for cars, since 1980 to 84, I'd say, to 2024 today, right? Let's just say until 80 to today, so 44 years, that is, right? It's definitely, first, the initial cost of the car, right? So you buy a car brand new or used, you pay a certain amount of fees to get it on the road. You put under your name, you get a title on it and all that kind of stuff. You put under your name. In our province, you're supposed to get a sticker back in the day, now you don't. You're supposed to get a safety, you're supposed to get e-test in the back in the day, now you don't. There's certain kind of costs, but the main cost is a car. And all throughout the world, they have different costs and different type of situations. England's brought this new thing where you got to pay different rates depending on how much gas the car produces and stuff. So if you have an older car producing more gas, you got to pay more money now or something, depending on where you're driving. There's a charge and all that. I don't know. There's different places, different world. But the point is, since 1980 to present, this is what's, costing the world in the car world. Okay? The initial cost of the car, what it takes to put on the road, etc. Keep it on the road. So sometimes people pay parking, monthly fees associated with paying for car insurance, that kind of stuff. And then it's maintenance and gas until we came to electric world where there's no gas anymore. But for gas and diesel cars for the last 44 years, there has been a lot of gas and diesel required to keep a car going a certain amount of kilometers even. Like it takes a liter of gas for a Corolla to go 10 kilometers. A liter of gas today is $1.50. Back in the day when I was a kid, a liter of gas was 60, 70 cents. Then it came to $1. Then now it's $1.20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, depending on what part of Canada you live in. When I was in Vancouver, the gas price was more than it was in Toronto by quite a large number. It was 20 cents more, I think. 20, 30 cents, a lot more. It was a lot more in general. It wasn't as cheap as it is here. But people drive less there. It's much closer. So the point is this. Since 1980 to present, in the West, I've still noticed in Japan and Malaysia and China, I've judged what's going on. In Saudi Arabia, the gas price, they said to me when I was in Mecca last year, in February 2023, was 20 cents a liter for many years, for a long time. Now it's like 60 cents a liter, so it's gone up for them. So now they're kind of panicking. They're like, oh shit, we're actually paying more too now. Malaysia, the gas price is like 58, 60 cents per liter Canadian. But it's in their money. In our money, 60 cents a liter. In their money, I don't know, ringgits, but I'm going by 60 cents a liter I converted it to our money. So our current price of gas is like around $1.50, give or take. Sometimes $1.40, sometimes $1.50, whatever. Let's just say $1.50, right? To keep it simple. And that's a lot of money, okay? So I'm going to get to that later, but the point is the initial cost of the car, what it takes to put on the road, what it takes to keep it on the road, okay? And what I'm going to get to in the last 44 years is the auto industry was so controlled. White people were strong back then. The white people were controlling the world back then. Back in 2002, 2005, to 1995, white people had more intelligence, more science, they had the world under control. The Jewish and the American world, they had it under control. Whatever they said goes. They can bully the people to not technologically advance. So, in 1997, there was something called the Honda EV Plus made, right? This was an actual car that was made. I'm going to show it to you. This. See that? Honda EV Plus. About 300 produced. Okay? That's the name. 1997. It was fully electric. Look at that. Look at the range. 169 kilometers. And the price of it, I don't forget what it was. Either way, right? In 97, when the Prius came out, this thing already exists. So this is how it looks like. It's like a Toyota Yaris looking car. It's an interesting looking car. They still have it in museums and stuff. So why am I telling you about this? Well, 97 the Prius came out. 97 this car came out for production, for sale. And the Western world for some reason didn't really take to it. They didn't want it. They just kind of rejected it. And it kind of went away. So instead, in 99, I believe, the Honda brought the Honda Insight, which is a hybrid, like the Prius. Hybrids already existed. Today, Formula One runs on hybrid cars. All Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, they're all driving hybrid today. From last time I checked, I don't watch Formula anymore, but they do. So the world's actually using the Prius Insight technology, which was made way back, I believe. I forget what company made it, but some other company made hybrid a long time ago. That's not the point. What I'm trying to explain to you is that there's a way to win with cars in the last 44 years. And it's always been keeping up with the leaders of the car world, which have simply been Honda and Toyota. Maybe Nissan, Subaru and Mitsubishi and Suzuki are honorable mention. There is not one other car company I can confidently suggest as a reliable car. Period. So I literally, when I was a kid, right, I would get to a red light and I would see, when I was driving with my dad and I was in the passenger seat, I would see which cars, I was in front passenger seat, which car here is doing well, which car isn't. Like which car is gonna last like 10 years later and which car isn't. So when a car came out new, I would see, okay, Chevrolet Impala, 1999, okay. 10 years later, 2009, I don't really see many of them on the road. 99 Honda Accord, I see it, okay. I see a lot of them on the road. Then I see like 92 Honda Accord still on the road. Then I see 92 Camry still on the road. But I don't see one Chevrolet Impala. So I can start seeing these cars are falling off the road. They're not able to keep up over time. They're not reliable enough. And they take so much in gas. Where this small engine, 4-cylinder, 2.2-liter Honda Accord engine from 92, still keeping on the road. And it's going strong. It's so strong of a car. You can tell it's so strong. It's like a very, very strong tiger. It's the thing is on the road. But these other cars are like walruses. They can't keep up. So I started noticing these Corolla, Civics, Accords, and Camrys. I want to make a competition here because car world is very vicious. It's very toxic, very fighting. I'm just saying, not in order, but the 4 cars I continuously saw on the road were only Accord, Camry, Corolla, Civic. Not in that order, but like those are the cars. I saw people running around that car and it just kept going forever. It never had any problems. And but in 1997, Honda already figured out electric cars and made one for you to buy. But the world rejected it. So since in 1980, the world's advancing. Honda and Toyota are advancing heavily. Cadillac and all these other car companies are really, really doing well. They're selling a lot of cars. They're like the Rolex of the car world. They're very popular. They're very revered. But they're revered for wrong reasons. They just stand out and they look beautiful, but they're not actually good cars at all. They're very short time they're going to last, which is going to hurt you in the long run. It's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you because you're going to regret that you even bought this in the end, I believe. Because people are much more bigger and much more long-term than you think. They would rather have something later than have it, break down and gone out of life today. You know what I mean? My dad's old video cameras are also here and working from back in the day. But our cars are all falling off the road. Same thing with a lot of technology you buy. Some things are falling off and some things are still here. Like this Nokia phone, which I'll get to in a future video. But this is a point. So 1980 to present, you judge Honda, Toyota, and all the car companies. Back then, just letting you know the straight point, they only had 5 numbers on the odometer. Like, it tells you how much the car is driven, it's only 5 numbers. Even Honda, it only had 5 numbers. So it didn't have 6 numbers, or it couldn't have 1 million kilometers. It couldn't show you. It could have 1 million kilometers on it, but we would never know. It can only show you 99,999 as a final number, and it'll roll over again to 0. They weren't even designing the cars back then for going for 1 million miles. Like, they were, but they weren't. They weren't really thinking like that. Honda and Toyota, they were the ones to push to 1 million miles in original car condition. Like, the engine, the transmission, everything's original, and the thing's going 1 million miles, which is like 1.6 million kilometers, which is like a lot, you know? So 1980 to present, the answer for cars simply is, long and short of it, before I get into all the information you're going to see, we couldn't have electric cars, which is the right answer, because gasoline is too expensive and it's a continual cost that exists. Whereas if you drive an electric car, it doesn't exist. So gasoline is simply the problem. and the Western world's not letting us move away from it, right? That's not in our control. So what is in our control is Toyota Prius, Honda Insight, Honda Accord, Camry, Corolla, Civic, the whole 9 yards, right? All other cars is there. So Japanese cars, what I noticed, and the reason people don't respect them is because they're not modern and they're not excessively stylish. But you can find an above average looking Japanese car, not great looking, but above average. But it's not something that's going to stand out like a Cadillac or like a Chevrolet Impala or like a Ford, or like maybe a Mercedes Benz from back in the 1980 to present. But a Japanese car will last, some of them, forever. They'll never break. And they're going to be most likely better on gas than any car, almost every car. So you're going to save money like no other car, period. Every other car is a waste of money and time. Like you won't even be able to compete. Volkswagen or Audi or Renault, they're not going to last. And they're running more on gas. They do save you money on gas. There are some Volkswagens that are good on gas. There's some cars, there's a lot of Volkswagens, a lot of cars they made that are good on gas, but they don't last, no matter what anyone says. I have many cars here driving around in Canada, west to east. There's none of them from Europe that are lasting 30, 40 years. Those are all Japanese cars. Or somebody who's maintained the crap out of an old car beyond it deserves. Some people do that. Some people maintain a Volvo even though it's breaking down from 1988. Some people will maintain a Volkswagen from 92 even though it's costing a lot of money because they don't want to get rid of it. They're old, they have money, they don't care. So they're cash and they want to let go of it. That's how it is. Some people are like that. Some people stuck in their ways. But the number one car that I have driven since the 1980 cars to present that I've driven and I've seen to be great. I haven't driven all 1980s cars, but I've driven some of them. And I've driven a lot of 90s cars. I driven a lot of 2000s cars. I've driven a lot of cars present. I used to do valet at many different companies. I used to do valet at several companies, at Hanson's, which is a brand new car yard. They bring brand new cars from Mexico and America, and we drive them to the trucks you see with the back where the cars go on. It's like 2 levels, and the cars all go on, and they go to dealerships, and people buy them. We drive the car to the truck. The truck driver drives the car onto the truck and takes it to the dealership. We're not allowed to bring it onto the truck because if something happens and scratches, we're liable for it. He's liable for it because it's his truck. It's a whole legal problem. So we just drive it to the truck right behind the truck. We park it in a line. The guy drives all the cars onto the truck. He ties it down. He takes it to the dealership, unties it, offloads them, and they sell the car. So that's what happens. So I was working at Hanson's in Autoport. There are 2 different ones in Toronto, GTA. One's in Vaughan, one's on Markham and Shepherd, north of Markham and Shepherd, Nashdene. 75 Nashdene, I think it's called. 75 or 105 Nashdene, I forget. Nashdene, it's there. It's beside not Neeligre, but it's beside a lot of things. Markham and Finch, Markham and Shepherd area. I used to take the bus there. I used to live on Shepherd. I used to take the bus right there. I was really close. So I used to work there like 14 hours a day driving cars for like months, for like 3-4 months. And the best car, number one car I drove, just to get to the short of it, is a Toyota Prius C. I mean, the best car. It was the best on everything. On everything and anything, it was the best. Maybe it wasn't as fast as a Porsche 911, but it was fast enough. It was pretty fast. And it was also zippy. It was like very tiny, good maneuverability. It was very like a easy car, fun car to drive in a parking lot and park compared to every other car I was driving. So the reason that car I think is the best in the current controlled gasoline market, if you're to get any gasoline or diesel powered car, the best car is a good looking Prius, period. Because every other car is going to cost you more on gas. Remember I told you buying the car, putting it on the road, and then gasoline and maintenance? Prius will never ever ever lose money on depreciation as much as other cars. Other cars lose, this car loses too, but Priuses from 2005 and 2006 are still worth 10 grand today. I don't see Corollas 2005 worth 10 grand today. Or Civics. So even compared to Civics and Corollas, Prius's value is so upkeep. It keeps its value. And the money you save on gas is unbelievable. Like you can't even compare it. It's really unbelievable. So let me tell you why I think the Prius C, of all the cars I drove, so let me list the cars I drove. I drove Mercedes, I drove BMW, I drove GMC, Cadillac, Mazda, Honda, Toyota, Lexus, Subaru, I think Mitsubishi, Dodge, Chrysler, Chevrolet, Ford, everything. I even used to work at Ford dealership, Young and Steeles. I think the second biggest dealership in all of Canada. I used to drive Mustangs. I used to drive Camaros at the Hansons. I used to drive everything. Every car you can think of. Hellcats, Dodge Charger, Chrysler 300, Cadillac Escalade, BMW, Benz. I have driven so many cars. I know what the heck they're about. I've driven Teslas, everything. I know what it is. People don't need to tell me. I already drove it. I've driven more cars than people will ever drive in their life. So the best cars, for the reasons I'm telling you, is why a car is relevant anyway. Looks or status symbol like Rolls Royce, that's not really what a car is. A car is for driving. If you want something for appearances, so people appreciate you, that's different. Or people look at you or you get attention, that's different. If you're looking for a car that's for Toronto life, for Japan, for Australia, and the harsh winters and the rugged terrain of America and, desert country, in New Mexico, wherever, okay? The best car I noticed for every aspect, if not most aspects, is a Prius. Let me tell you why. Number one, gas. It was the most gas efficient car easily of any other car. And it even tells you on the dashboard there how much gas the car is taking. It had more instrument panels than any other car I've ever seen. It's telling you what's going on with the car. So many situations telling you how the battery's doing, everything. So the gas is the number one killer of this world today. The electric situation so good, electric cars, because gas is so poisonous for us, right? So gas. Number two, the handling of the car was spectacular. It was almost perfect. It was only not like perfect, but it was close to perfect. There's only one car company that's better than that, Honda, which I'll get to later. But this car the handling was pinky. Like you can use your pinky to drive. And I used to drive the Prius C. It had fun colors. The Prius C is a small Prius. It's like 2000 and I can show you. I used to work at this company back in 2015 or 16, summer. This is a car that I love the most. You've probably seen it on the road many times. This is one of the colors I used to have there too. So this is a Prius C. The Prius comes in many varieties, but this is one of them. I don't think they make this anymore in Toronto and Canada, but they used to make it back in the day. It was the best car. It was like the best car. And so gas, number one. Number two, handling. And number two, I would say is reliability. Every part of the car, I can tell, would last the rest of my life. Like, I buy one Prius, I choose the color I like, I get tints, the rims I want. I don't know if I had a backup camera, but getting those things are very, very low cost, if it doesn't have it already. I think it did. If I'm not mistaken, it did have a backup camera. I remember the older Prius had it, so this must have had it. It had everything. Like, this car was tricked out. Like, it had everything you would ever need. And then some. The interior was it felt more better. The Prius, they put so much effort into it. Like, I compared it to a Corolla or Civic or Honda Fit, which I used to drive there too. They felt so, like, cheap and, like, pointless. The Prius interior, everything felt like the seats, the handling, the dashboard, the gearbox, everything felt more better. Everything felt more like they tried harder to sell you this car. It was very quality built, I felt like, and it was very nifty. So I'm like, this is a quality car. The interior is perfect, it's beautiful, so much instrument panels, backup camera. Look at the Corolla, look at the Civic. It's kind of, yeah. So back in 2016, I was like, this is the best car, man. For the money, this is like, does everything. So the Prius C was the best car. Whenever I got on the Prius C, it was so quiet. That was another thing I liked about it. The handling was great. I can tell it was great on gas. It was so strong, quality built, reliable car. Like, who would have it? Any car you get in other than this is cheaper, plasticky. You can like hit the dashboard, and everything. It's very cheap. But this car is like pristine. It's great. And so that was the best car I drove. And I used to work at Chelsea Hotel, Ford, Yonge and Steele, like I said, Hanson's, New Car Yard, Autoport and Vaughan, New Car Yard, MJM Valet for a little while, Forest Hill Group Valet and Security, mainly Valet. I used to work, where else did I work Valet? And so many places I worked more than that. I don't remember, but man, I used to work at so many places. Forest Hill, I forget. Let me think. I don't remember. Is that all I worked at? Pretty sure I worked at more. But either way, I don't remember. I don't remember. So I used to work at so many places. The point is, worked at so many places, but that's my gist of it. I drove so many cars, and the simplicity of the Prius C was also spectacular. You can just get in and go. Anyone can learn this thing quickly. Whereas like other cars and like other technology they're putting into cars and other things they're doing was just unnecessary. Toyota and Honda are the most dumb-proof cars. It's the most simple cars, the most robust. It's the most. It's like the most smartphone of cars. Whereas other car companies are like trying to be too complicated. They're trying to be like this complicated analog watch, stainless steel, it looks like a goddamn Swiss Army knife. This is like a Casio. It's just gonna be way better for the money and for what it's supposed to do, you know? And it's a great looking car too inside and out. I thought it was a great looking car. It looks like a Toyota Yaris or Honda Fit, you know. The second car I liked at the Hanson's place was Honda Fit. I used to tell my coworker there that I wanted to take this Honda Fit home. Man, I love this car so much because it has so much headroom. Like such a tall car, and it's low to the ground. So you sit a little bit lower and the ceiling's higher. So so much headroom, so much room everywhere. Whereas like if you get in a Camry or in a Accord or Civic, there's not much room in those because they're a little bit lower, right? This is a little bit more cramped down car and a little bit taller. So even compared to the Prius C, had more space. So I was like, I love the Honda Fit, even though the Prius C is a better car and it's more expensive. This is Honda Fit's better, I thought. So this guy named Luis, he also Scorpio like me, number 21st. He had a Honda Civic. He had a Honda keychain on his key. With his key, and I used to talk to him about Honda. You know, I love Honda. I noticed he liked Honda too. So I told him, bro, I'm born the same day as Honda. I love Honda. And I told him, bro, Luis, I don't care what any of these Dodge Chargers and all this. I want to take this car, Honda Fit home, bro. Black Honda Fit, and I'm out. I'm out of here forever. I'm so happy. Like, and he would always laugh. And I was like, I know, it's such a great car. And I was in love with Honda Fit. It was such a nice car. But I can't lie. The Honda Fit was more plasticky, more cheap, which ultimately would mean it's a shitty car compared to the Prius C. Like, over time, the Prius C would hold its value and it make more sense. Another car that was really good there and really great handling, great interior, and very quiet inside was the Lexus cars. The Lexus was soundproof inside and was like smooth gearbox, smooth handling, very, very, you can use your pinky to steer, like I said, for the Prius. Very great car, but they looked weird. The Lexuses look odd outside. They don't look nice design. I don't know what the hell's wrong with Japan Lexus engineers. They don't really know how to make a good looking car. Like the car looks alien-like outside. Interior is fine. Everything's great, good power, good everything, smooth engine. The power delivery is instant. Like you floor it and the car takes off. And so Lexus was great, but it's not something I would drive. I would actually drive a Prius over a Lexus because just everything else I mentioned. And the quietness of the Prius C was amazing. It was such a quiet car. It was like Tesla, but sometimes engine turns on, engine turns off, engine turns on. The Prius C was one of the best. But electric cars is better. The problem is in the West and in most parts of the world, electric cars aren't being available for regular consumers to buy. Even today in Canada, what's a $20,000 electric car you can buy? Even Civics and Corollas have gone up to like mid-20s. Back in the day, it was less than $20,000, like starting price 18 or something. Now it's like $25,000, $26,000, $24,000. So to get a car electric of $25,000 brand new, like a Prius-sized car, or a Honda Accord sized car, it just isn't happening. So since 1980 to present, ultimately the Prius is been the only car people can buy for the money to save money. Now, people don't want to drive a Prius because it looks stupid. I get that. So what's another car you can drive? Well, in my opinion, it's obvious. You know, heroes, the usual suspects, Honda and Toyota. Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Honda CR-V, Toyota Highlander, Toyota Land Cruiser. I think Toyota Land Cruiser is better than every American SUV, pretty much. The most Land Cruisers, if you get a good looking one, good color, all that, I mean, there's not any, I would never get a GMC or a Cadillac Escalade or something, or a Ford Explorer over that. That's insane. Those are scrap metal cars. They're going to scrapyard sooner than you can even blink. But the Toyota Land Cruisers, they're great. They're awesome vehicles. They're very strong. And then, so the Toyota Prius C was one of the best cars. Toyota Prius was one of the best cars. It was the most peaceful, I can hear myself think, grounded feeling cars. But I'm a guy, and I'm supposed to like other cars. And I used to say I would never be caught dead in a Prius. Look how stupid it looks. But I drove it and I was like, wow, it's much better than I ever imagined. It was so much better backup camera. So Toyota Prius is very underrated. Another car that was great that I drove in was a Civic Hybrid. The Civic Hybrid came out in 2003. That car is incredible. Like, The 2008, 2003, amazing gas mileage, just amazing, great everything. It's really one of the best cars ever. You can't go wrong with those cars. So that's what's going on with that. And yeah, what else can I say? So yeah, so let's talk about money, and let's bring it down to that instead of my opinions. Oh, actually, there's another thing I have to mention. So I used to work at Palace Pier. Just to educate you more about, there was no Priuses there. I don't think there was any hybrids there. There was a hybrid, but it was a Volvo one. It wasn't a Toyota or Honda hybrid, I don't think. They had everything there. Kia, Hyundai, Volvo, BMW, S-Class, Mercedes, X5, Acura, Toyota Yaris, Buick, Mitsubishi, Subaru, Lexus, everything you could imagine. BMW, everything you could imagine they had. The best overall vehicle that I thought they had there, they didn't really have Camrys or Accords. I don't think they had any. The Highlander. The Toyota Highlander was like a 2006 one, 2005 one. It was really old. My God, was that a great car. Like, it was gold. There was two of them. One was gold with V6. One was gold with a four-cylinder. And I think one was leather, one was cloth. I don't remember for sure. One was definitely cloth. And I love the four-cylinder cloth one. And I was like, my God. Like, this car was so strong. It had over 200,000 kilometers from mistake. It had over 150, 180,000 kilometers at least. Maybe over 200,000 kilometers. And it was so strong. And it was, the handling was so perfect still. Everything was so reliable. And you can smash the entire interior with your fists. Everything worked perfectly. There was just no lights were not working. All the interior lights were working. All the buttons worked. I didn't check, but I can tell they all worked. Everything was still intact. The car is like 15 years old. So, more than maybe. And the families driving on a peaceful looking thing. I think one of them had a sunroof. Maybe they did, I don't remember. It was just the most peaceful car. And one of the other cars they had there was a Solara, Toyota Solara, like in 2000. And also same thing. It was a little bit more falling apart because it had a lot of kilometers on it. It had a little bit of problems inside, which is known for Toyota Camrys of those generations. I had the same Camry from 99, the 4-door version. So that was the 2-door version of the Camry. It's called Camry Solara. And same engine, same interior, almost same everything almost. It's just a 2-door version. So my interior also falling apart. My 99 Camry, the gold one I used to have. I have two Camrys, silver one and a gold one. The gold one was falling apart, and it's normal. But the Highlander didn't fall apart. The Highlander I could tell was perfect. So that was honorable mention. But the best handling car I ever drove at Palace Pier, where I drove Porsches, Cayennes, everything, right? 911 Porsche, everything, was that 2006 Honda Civic Coupe. That was the best handling car I ever drove in my life at that place. Like, here's the funny story. My dad used to own a 2008 Honda Civic sedan, which is the same as that car. So 2006, 2011, Honda had the same Civic, 06, 2011, same Civic Coupe and sedan. My dad had the sedan version, so it's exactly the same everything, except it's a 2-door version. So I used to have this car. I used to drive it all the time. And it's a car I used to take people in, my friends, family, everything. So when I drove all the other cars, BMW X5s, Acura TLs, Ford everything, Porsche 911, then I finally came to a woman or someone. Man, I don't know who owned it, but it was, I used to park the car, but the person wasn't there. So we had the key for it. We had the second key for the car, for all the cars. We park it when they bring it to the front. It was my job, LA. It was good money. And Pascal Siakam, the Toronto Raptors guy, lives there. I used to drive his BMW X6. I used to meet him and drive X6 every day. So I don't know. That was before they won the championship. That was like in 2018 and early 2019. And I think, yeah, 2017, 2018, 2019, I used to work there. So like end of 2017 into 2018, then I worked somewhere else, and I came back there again 2018, then 2019 beginning, I went to some work somewhere else, and then I went to work at the Osgood Hall courthouse. So the point is, I used to drive his X6, I used to drive all these cars. The best handling car in that parking lot, anywhere, period, that Civic. And there's a reason for that. It's because it had the double wishbone engineering setup. That setup for the suspension or whatever is like the best handling ever. And yeah, so the best cars I drove of all my valet experience, SUVs, Highlander, not anything else. Camry had problems, but it was good. Accord has sometimes problems, sometimes not. Depends on which generation you get the Accord. Same thing with Civic and Corolla. Corolla is usually more stronger. Civic is usually okay too. Civic has some problems, transmission problems, all this, but Corolla usually stronger, but it looks ugly, and it has a lot of other issues which Civic doesn't have. The best handling was easily Honda. Honda used to have double wishbone setup on all their cars. You can like float the car. It's so easy to handle it. So Highlander, Civic, Corolla, and the Prius. Those are like the best cars to have. Now, let's talk about my car experiences and what I've owned. So I pretty much know if I get an American car, I know they have the 3100 engine in it, V6, they would have head gasket problems. I know Subaru has head gasket problems. I know Volvo and Benz and BMW, they have some type of problems. It's not worth owning. So I know Toyota and Honda where it's at. I've only owned Honda and Toyota. I've owned one Oldsmobile Color Supreme. I've had 10 cars. 9 of them are Honda or Toyota or Acura, which is Honda. 9 of them out of 10 is Honda or Toyota. Only one's Oldsmobile Color Supreme, which is GM, which is American. And even then, I learned a lot. I learned more than I wish I didn't learn. I wish I just knew that at the beginning. I just bought a Prius. So come back to the point. In the modern era, 1980 to present, gasoline and long-term range has been the improvement. The cars went from having five odometer to more and focused on long-term reliability. Honda and Toyota have perfectly. Nissan used to be okay too. Then it came really bad. Modern day Nissan is not where it used to be. But Honda and Toyota did focus on those things. 92 Accord, 91 Civic were really reliable. They went 1,000,000 kilometers easy. 92 Corolla, 92 Camry were great. But not Subarus, not other cars. So let's keep it going. So we know the Honda and Toyota are the best cars. So out of the 10 cars I owned, I had 2 Camrys. They were the worst cars on gas, other than my Oldsmobile Color Supreme. The next car was bad on gas, Accord. Great car, not great on gas. It was better than the Camry by far and the Oldsmobile Color Supreme by far. But it wasn't that great in terms of gas compared to Civic. I was always kind of stressing for the gas. And then the Camry ownership, it was great. It was a strong car. But the amount of money I spent on gas, it wasn't worth owning. And my heart told me to get rid of it and just get a Corolla or get a Civic or get a Prius. But I was stupid and I didn't know to do it quick enough. So Camrys and Accord and Oldsmobile Color Supreme and really any GM car, they're pretty much out. So that phases 4 out of the 10 cars out. Now the last 6 remaining. I had 2 Corollas, 2 Integras, and 2 Civics. Those are the last 6. So the 2 Corollas, one of them, severe mistake. Severe. It was a 1990 Corolla GTS Coupe. It wasn't a two-door car. It was rotted out. It was not a great car. It was really rusted out. I've showed pictures of this to people before. This is the car I used to have. Okay? It was this. Pop-up headlights and all. And it was kind of like this.